Welcome to this episode of the Wickershire Project. We're going crazy trying to grow in native Tennessee clay soil. So we're spending as much money as we can in grow pots and just buying drip lines and all this crazy stuff. But as you grow, you learn what you actually need. Having a garden and not spending any money. That's the key thing to do here. If I was a company and I wanted to make money, I would think of something to put in a package to sell to you. Well, that's a great idea if you're a company. But what if you're a simple person that just wants to grow food and you don't want to spend a lot of money to do that, and you're always trying to find the cheapest ways of how to produce food without spending a ton of cash? Well, let's look into that. In nature, things grow. The leaf mold on the ground, the rainwater that falls from the sky, all the food that you eat, all the scraps that are left over, you should compost those. Making compost is a slow method that takes anywhere from a couple of months to maybe a year, depending on how you do it. Learning about your plants when they produce seed is one of the most easiest way to replicate having a garden every year by seed saving. Here we have basil. The basil now has gone up into flower. The bees are pollinating those flowers. What will happen is those flowers will fall off and it forms these little seed pods. So in order for us to have basil for next year, during the winter times or the winter months, this will die off after we've collected and dried our basil for later use. The stems out here will dry. All those seeds will be stripped out and collected, just kind of crushed up in our hands, and have the seeds extracted, put into a package, and we're ready to plant this basil next year. Morning glories have gone to seed after the flowers peter out. You get these little seed balls that are on top of here. And when these brown up and dry, we'll pull the seeds out of them. If you look inside here, here's one of those seed pods that have cracked open, and that's ready to be picked and harvested. And that way we'll have morning glory seeds for next year. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just going to crush that pod. And you can see all the seeds that are in there. So just from that one pod we have 6 seeds. And this way we can grow morning glories for next year. And that's one way we learn to seed save our flowers, our fruits and vegetables. Again, through observation and learning and watching your plants, you'll learn when the seeds are ready to be harvested. And this will cut costs down on having a free garden every year. Learn how to save seeds. Having a garden lush full of fruit and veggies growing every year does not have to cost you any money whatsoever, but a little bit of time and effort on your part. As you work with a garden every year, you learn what you actually need. Things that you need are pretty minimal to having a successful garden. First thing you're going to need is sunlight. During those spring, fall, and summer months, you got that. That's free. You're going to need clean air. And that's abundant when you're outside. Uncompacted, loose soil so that your roots can take deep root into it. We've started our fall garden with just a handful of seeds in each container. Just a couple of different things. Here I have some candy roaster squash and a few cucumbers. We've also seeded some of these grow bags with beets. Other grow pots have peas in them and beans. Gardening really does not have to be expensive. The biggest expense on your part is going to be purchasing seeds just to get a start and a foothold into growing. But from there on in, it shouldn't be too much of a hassle to keep the costs down. Just the left to our fall garden. On this bare ground, is just a place where I'm collecting soil. Just scraping off the top with a simple tool like this hoe, a homemade sifter, and we're just grabbing up the top of the soil here and sifting it through, getting rid of all the rocks and chunky stuff. We don't want to impede the roots. But this is all natural made. This is pretty much silt. And after it's collected, it goes into a pot and we can plant into this. This is just a simple recycled creamer pot. We fill with soil, put a couple of slice marks on the bottom to let the water drain out. That way we don't have any root rot. And the plastic itself is bright white, reflects the sun, it won't heat up too much. Just throw a few seeds in there and boom, we're good to go. One thing we use in our garden is expired milk. Now, I wouldn't want to open it up and stick your nose in there, but as we take from it, we just add more water. It gets more diluted, and that's fine. In this bucket, we've packed in just food scraps and a bunch of local fauna and leaves, and this is filled pretty much 3/4 of the way up with organic matter, and the rest is just filled and topped off with water. And we've let this age many, many, many months. And this is a liquid fertilizer that'll feed our plants if we think those plants need it. Above me is the roof line, and below me is the drip line. And what we do here is we have just a couple of containers set up that capture that rainwater. There's no chemicals in this. This is just pretty much rain. There's no chloride pumped into it, fluoride. There are no dangerous chemicals. And we want to collect and use this on our plants as it's more natural. And it's a lot safer bet that it won't hurt any of the microbial life that is inside the ground. We don't have much of a lawn, but what we do cut pretty much gets collected. We rake it up, and then that gets shifted over and thrown into the compost pile. In here, nature is adding her own leaves that are falling from the trees. There's just paper in here. The bugs and animals are opening all the bad fruits and vegetables and any excess food waste. There's old mangoes in here. There's a lot of bugs breaking it down. Corn husks. Just everything and anything that is organic gets tossed in here. And after 1 year's time, the top might look fairly the same, but the bottom's going to have a layer of this black rich gold that we use to feed all our plants for next spring. And it really didn't cost me a dime to do this. Just a little bit of love and labor. As always, thanks for watching the Wickershire Project. Keep your hard-earned cash in your pockets. There is just so much free material that is out and about and around you that can help you save a ton of money when growing a garden. You really don't have to make it such an expensive thing in order to grow food. Just a little bit of time, observation, collecting some notes and knowledge, and every year this gets easier and easier and easier to grow food.